Big love, star family. Welcome to another Lunar Cycle video. It's an exciting month. Sun and Moon come together with Venus and Jupiter and Uranus in constellation Taurus. Most auspicious. The full moon this month will have just passed the galactic center in the stars of the bow of Sagittarius, and it looks potentially a little bit stormier, but still blessed and protected in many ways while crossing those waters. And at both moons, the stars of Orion play very meaningfully. And as usual, we'll totally ignore the modern institutional mythology of Orion and take a deep dive into an ancient Vedic understanding of those stars. It's constellation Orion. I'm Michael. This is oneskyastrology. Let's look at the skies. Yeah, check this out. Look at Taurus this month. We have Sun and Moon meeting with Venus, but not just that, with all the benefics conjunct by sign. They're all together in the star group of Taurus. Moving around, we have Mars finishing up Pisces, about to move into Aries, nearby to Eris and Chiron, North Node, and Neptune. We have Saturn finishing up Aquarius, lingering in the last degrees there. And Pluto is retrograde, moving back towards Sagittarius in early Capricorn. Oh, look! I didn't mean to display this point configuration, but we have Ceres here, dwarf planet Ceres this month. Ceres is the largest body in the asteroid belt and the only, asteroid kind of remnant of whatever was there at one time to have dwarf planet status, larger than an asteroid. I think of Ceres as the core, the heart of the planet that once orbited in that orbital belt. The reason Ceres is here being displayed is because next month she's very important. And I was looking a little ahead. We're not going to talk about Ceres a lot this month until we get to the astrology of the next new moon. Here in Virgo, we find the South Node slowly making its way towards Leo, and that's the skies. You'll see very heavy density of population in Taurus, where we have roughly the benefics, and very heavy density of population in the Pisces area, especially if we count Saturn on the cusp there. And roughly speaking, Mars, Neptune, Saturn, Eris, North Node, we have a malefic party in Pisces, and I want to remind everyone one more time, all the malefics have their power and their blessing and their benefit. Don't write planets off and oversimplify them as benefic and malefic. That's silly. So let's check out the charts. That's where the sky is for the new moon. That's kind of where our adventure starts this month. And so here we are looking at the 2D chart of the same new moon, June 6th, 2024. We're focused on the alignment of Sun and Moon. Just to kind of summarize the main features that we'll be looking at in the new moon segment of this video. We have a new moon in Taurus, so we'll take a sweet overview, take a look at constellation Taurus. We have Sun and Moon meeting on fixed star Rigel. Rigel, Beta of Beta Orion. That's a star that Bernadette Brady calls the teacher, the giver of knowledge. We have the new moon conjunct to Venus, less than half a degree. That's just 29 arc minutes. We have a rolling conjunction of all the benefics. And we have the new moon square to Saturn in critical late Aquarius. So we have this new moon making a pretty close square up to Saturn. 2 minutes, 43 seconds, close square. And Saturn's in a really important degree of the sky, a critical late degree, the last degree of the constellation where we see the fulfillment or the manifestation of the fruition of the energy of that sign. So we'll talk about all that. And we have the new moon. Looks like we have a sesqui square to Pluto, a close sesqui square in early Capricorn. So let's break that down. Whoa. Yeah. All right. We have new moon in Taurus on Rigel. Fixed star Beta Orion. Bernadette Brady says that Rigel is about sharing knowledge. It's about learning, matters of education and teaching, gaining new skills, information and understanding. It's a star in the foot of constellation Orion or the leg. We'll get graphics up on the screen in just a moment, but Orion is the counterpart to Ophiuchus. And in ancient India, Orion was associated with Shiva. And in other videos, I've talked about the Orion-Ophiuchus connection, the god-goddess Kundalini mystery meanings, and all of that lie encoded in the sidereal mythology around those stars of Orion and Ophiuchus. So I'm just going to focus on Orion in this video. I found several old pages from manuscripts that these are Tamil manuscripts. You can't see the language really well, but yeah, that's Tamil. Tamil's an older language than Sanskrit, and it's one of my favorite languages. I have a Tamil tattoo on my arm of the character Om. At any rate, all my personal preference for Tamil aside, it's a very beautiful language. And these pages from these old manuscripts I was able to dig up, show the stars that we call Orion today. And we can see that the stars of Orion are here, and they're compared. They're shown how these stars represent Shiva in his form as the Lord of the Dance, Nataraja. Down here we can see Betelgeuse, Bellatrix, Al-Nalam, Al-Natak, Mintaka, Saif, and Rigel. And that is, those are the main bright stars in Orion. Most notably, we see the 3 stars of Orion's belt. And when we look at this, we see that Shiva, as Orion, is a figure that, like the Egyptian, association with Osiris, association between Orion and Osiris in Egypt, represented God in these stars. Shiva, I want to clarify, Shiva gets a bad rap in the West because Christians paint him as a god of destruction, categorically untrue. Shiva was a representation of the Godhead, and we'll talk a little about the symbolism of the Nataraja, because it's very specific that Orion was representing Shiva Nataraja. So Shiva here is Lord of the Dance. Nataraja means Lord of Dance, Lord among dancers, and there are deep understandings encoded in his dance. He is always surrounded by the fires of time. Here we have a great picture of the Nataraja at CERN in Switzerland, I believe. And he's surrounded by the flames of the fires of time. And he is always doing a dance, which is called the Tandava. We'll just cut to this picture because it's going to make the Tandava really a lot easier to explain. The sacred meaning that's encoded in this, we can see dancing Shiva, we can see his dreadlocks, we see the fires. He dances on a demon of spiritual ignorance, a demon who just stands for spiritual ignorance. And a Tandava is a style of dance with leaping motions, with jumping motions. So he's really given this demon a good stomping. But the important thing to understand about the Tandava is it's got 5 parts. There's 5 parts of the dance that God is doing in this understanding. There's a hand drum held by one hand, a hand drum like a little and that pulse, that rhythm, that beat is symbolic of creation, the pulse of creation. There's a mudra, a palm up mudra, which is a mudra of protection in the Vedic understanding. This is when you see a deity doing that, it's bestowing protection. Palm down, like fingers down, that's bestowing a blessing, giving something. Fingers up, palm out, protection. The left hand of Shiva contains the fires of destruction. So we have 3 functions: creation, preservation, and destruction. That this is understood to be things that Shiva's always doing, just constantly in the activities of creating, preserving, and destroying. Shiva's right hand hides his heart, and this is really interesting because you can't understand the heart of God. So Shiva always conceals his real nature. And keep in mind, Shiva is not a blue god with dreadlocks who likes to jump up and down on demons. Shiva is an incarnate force, an anthropomorphization of consciousness. So Shiva is consciousness. You can't find a Shiva out there because what you're looking for is what you're looking with. Okay, so the whole thing falls apart. This is all representative. And what's important to that point is the 5th and final step of the dance that Shiva is doing, because he is lifting his leg. You will always see Shiva Nataraja dancing the Tandava surrounded by the fires of time. Do you see the metaphor? Do you see it? It's not hidden, people. So we have creation, preservation, destruction. He conceals his real nature and he reveals his real nature. And these are the things that cosmic consciousness is always doing eternally. That's the symbolism of the fires of time. This is a constant. So again, all metaphor, all metaphor, not overly helpful to think of this in terms of like a god in the skies somewhere, Lord of judgment, or don't be putting all your Western, if you've got them, don't be putting all your Western overlays onto Shiva. But embrace the idea that this came from a totally different concept of God, a dancing, dreadlocked Very, very different. God within, a dancing dreadlocked God within. How different to Western culture. Yeah, we see some of the stars that are involved in this representation of Shiva Nataraja. And I think there are a lot of interesting parallels here. We have for the hand drum of creation, Elena in Gemini. Elena is the foot of Pollux, but it's a creative star. It's a star associated by Brady and others with creative process and generation. For the shoulder, which bestows protection, we see the star Betelgeuse, which is the most fortunate and successful star in the sky. It's not a lot of question or argument about that. And for the fires of destruction, we have the Hyades and Aldebaran. So Aldebaran is a destructive star. It's a downfall star if you don't have utmost integrity. So for all the good that the royal stars can bring, let's make no mistake that Aldebaran is certainly capable of ruining someone's day. We have Bellatrix associated with concealment, and Brady says about Bellatrix that it's associated with success through the shadow. Interesting. And as noted, Brady refers to Rigel here on the position which would be represented by the lifted leg, were that leg not lifted. Rigel, Brady associates with education, sharing information, bringing knowledge, giving light. So we have some interesting parallels, pretty remarkable parallels in the star lore, considering that we're dealing with cultures so removed by time period and geography. All right, let's get back to the chart. That was Rigel. That was fixed star Rigel. I think it's interesting that Rigel is correlate to Revelation in the dance of Shiva. I think that makes it an interesting. So I think it's interesting that the stars that correlate to those points make sense. But I'll leave that there. I'll leave that there for your consideration. When we look at Taurus, we see a constellation, a star group, correlate to and sympathetic with Venus. And it's following on Aries, and Taurus grounds the aspirations and impulses. Where Aries is moving outward from the center, Taurus is withdrawing inwardly. So Taurus can get lost within. That happens. And Taurus grounds, it stabilizes, it makes steady, and it's connected to the body. It's connected to procreation, to pleasure, to the fertile and lush, to the luxurious, to those good things in life. So cattle were pre-Romanization currency in Germanic Europe and Celtic Europe, and they signified having enough. They signified wealth. And like the rune, Fehu, the wealth rune, literally Fehu translates to cattle in Proto-Germanic. That's how we've thought about wealth for a long time. So Taurus and the bullseye and wealth, long history there of association. With fortune and success, long history of association with gain and stability. So it's nice to see the dance that we're seeing this month with all the benefics, and it'll be good this month to refresh where Taurus is in your chart, what it's representing, right? What it's ruling, what sits there, what house of your chart is represented by Taurus, because that's where it's really happening this month. Taurus and Pisces. So Taurus has the effect of grounding, stabilizing. Taurus increases and saves wealth, but Taurus also takes us on an inner journey into what really matters in our lives. And it takes us into the territory of our inner security and self-sufficiency. It can challenge us to find our personal wealth, or in other words, that which is inherent in us that's valuable. Taurus puts us in touch with those resources. It grows them, our natural resources, what we have by virtue of our being that's valuable and we can offer to others. Taurus grows those things, and it grows our self-esteem as we're able to be of more and more benefit and generate more and more value. Taurus does connect us to our bodies, to pleasure, to sensuality, to our unique beauty. And depending on your chart, whatever's in Taurus might get a boost this month in your life, or the area of the chart symbolized by the house associated with Taurus. But there's a powerful imbalance of energies this month. You got powerful imbalance. Taurus and Pisces are chock full, and the rest of the chart is pretty sparse. You got a couple outliers. Pluto in the south node. Very unconscious forces. So most of everything that's happening, it's going to take a Piscean Taurian form. The new moon is conjunct to Venus. Venus is classically ruling Taurus. So she's really strong. She's really confident. She's in her home territory. And in Taurus, she shields, she buffers, and she enriches the sun and the moon. So we could easily be feeling like gentle, inspired, enriched, and more so even blessed if our experience is challenging. If there are snags this month, Venus can really turn them into blessings in disguise, because some of us will struggle. Some of us will struggle this month, and Venus can turn appreciation for our difficulties into perspective and even victory. So don't count her out just because your streets aren't paved with gold. This month, she may help you through all that. So invite her in. Invite her in. Venus is a friend. And with Venus, we have a rolling conjunction to all of the benefics in Taurus. Yeah, Venus has help. She brought the squad. I'm really hesitant to make like rose-colored predictions. I've seen too much, friends. But this is powerful for wealth. This is powerful for stability and gain. If it's gonna affect your chart in a positive way, that's gonna likely be the result. Also self-esteem, self-love, self-appreciation. Those are the seeds I would be planting under this powerful grow light in Taurus. The more you can lean in to even to the point of faking it till you make it. As far as self-love goes, even if that's always been a struggle area for you and remains a struggle area, even if you don't feel like you have a lot of access to self-love, leaning in to the things that, looking for them, finding them, seek them out. Everybody has them. Nobody is worthless. So this could be a good month to do anything on the spectrum from like searching, listing, itemizing, the things you like about yourself, the good qualities you possess, the things you appreciate, the deep roots of your self-love. These are the fibers I would be weaving into the fabric of my personal practice and kind of a conscious approach at this time. Oh, what else is going on here? This new moon squares up to Saturn in late Aquarius. Got a lot going on this month, friends. This is going to bring in new patterns and methods. This has been building for a few months. So, yeah, this new moon continues to stabilize and anchor the new patterns, the new methods that have been going on. We may have to figure out balance or like a precise implementation of ideas that we've been working with or trying to work with for a few months now. This month will be really empowered to ground anything that we've been maybe struggling to wrangle with since it emerged at the time of the eclipse. And Saturn has been in Aquarius since 2023. So we're also seeing the culmination, the sort of finishing up of a phase that has lasted the last year, and Saturn's going to move retrograde back into Aquarius before he journeys into Pisces. So I would say Saturn's journey through Aquarius, all told, is going to take about 2 years, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Pluto, we have not talked about that. Pluto is retrograde in his motion, and he's in Capricorn. He is very activated. Pluto's making aspects to everybody but Saturn and Chiron. So we have close, major, close, major, close, major, close, major, major. Okay, so the aspects Pluto is making are very important this month. I don't have a lot of notes on Pluto, but I notice he's retro. This could be a retrospective. It could be intense and retrospective this month. This month, the themes that come up could echo prior experience. We could be wrapping up with the combination of Saturn and Pluto coming together to affect the new moon. We could be wrapping up cycles, especially cycles that have to do with new ways of doing things, new methods, implementing, and I mean very broadly, but I mean those bigger things, bigger like lifestyle changes. Moving towards the full moon and trying to understand this new moon in a nutshell, I think that the key concepts are definitely around stabilization of whatever's been growing for you in the last few months, especially new ways of organizing, new methods of doing things. Yeah, really anchoring what works out of that and starting to smooth the growth edges. Anchoring what works and smoothing those growth edges. That's the square. That's one of the hidden intentions of this month that will pervade the entire sequence because it pervades the origin chart. That's how things work. This chart is like a natal chart for the lunar cycle. So we can look at this and see the energies that want to express themselves this month. It's part of what a new moon is. It's a great time to chill out, slow down, plan intentions and prayers, make aspirations and set goals, and then work during the waxing quarter to accomplish those things. But that brings us to the transits. So we're going to take a look at the transits between the new moon and full moon. And this month, it's a pretty easy set because we have a lot of things. We have a lot of things happening. You'll see a constant barrage of transits, but you'll also notice if you see this first column, we've got Sun, Mercury, and Venus doing a lot of the same things. Like first Venus squares Saturn, then Sun squares Saturn. Down here we have Mercury square Saturn. So this will take as kind of one family. We've got inner planet squaring Saturn. In the meantime, Mars will square Pluto, and Mercury will make contact with the nodes. So Saturn squares are challenging, and they're going to bring to the head this theme of implementing new patterns, building up innovations in our systems, habits, patterns, understandings. Mercury contacting the South Node especially will help us integrate, because South Node is the existing emotional patterns, and Mercury connects thought to those. So the challenge from Saturn, right, the square from Aquarius, the challenge is Aquarian, and the action is to integrate it. So a Mercury South Node connection will facilitate that. Mars square Pluto. Mars here is squaring Pluto. This will last about 3 days, from the 10th, 11th, and 12th, peaking on the 11th, and could be a really live wire, actually. The combo is famously martial. In fact, the square is a classic force signature, using force or having force used against one. In the transits broadly, it's more of like a war transit. It's more of like a because this is the collective consciousness. But hurting and being hurt are the hallmarks of Pluto square Mars. There's other effects, but those are the steady. Those are the real trustworthy ones. So a little bit more volatile time. Of course, everything depending on the personal relationship these transits have to the natal chart, but so much can be said broadly about just these 3 days, the 10th, 11th, and 12th. There'll be days where we'll want to watch explosive force very carefully. If we have temper issues, we want to be really aware. We want to be definitely taking our 10 deep breaths and just mindful of that at this time. And then finishing the theme of integrating Saturn's cycle in Saturn's Aquarian cycle, grounding that with the Taurus planets, is Mercury square to Saturn. So we'll have, right after the new moon, we'll have a theme of Saturn squares, integration, and Mars square Pluto. That'll bring us right down to Venus sextile Eris, which will happen on the 12th and 13th, a little bit into the 14th. And that's contact between Taurus and Pisces. This is some of the only contact, actually, that we see between the planets of Taurus and Pisces. And I say that, I say that very roughly because there is Neptune contact later, and Saturn's on the Pisces cusp. That brings us to the waxing quarter moon, which will take place on the 13th, I believe. So we're going to change lanes. I want to get this chart up on the screen, and just for everybody who wants to take a quick look, waxing quarter moon is going to perfect its square to Sun, and just in the first degree of Virgo, opposite Saturn and Neptune, and closely trine to Uranus. All right, I think that should give people some time to integrate that, time to check it out. Let's get back to those waxing transits. So here with Venus sextile Eris, we have the beginning of another sort of family, because we have Mercury sextile Eris and then Sun sextile Eris. So just like we had with Saturn, we have Sun, Mercury, and Venus kind of moving in tandem. In the midst of that, Sun and Mercury come together, and that brings us to the 16th, 17th. So we have this Eris phase. So we're going to have sextiles with Eris. We're going to have the force of inner conflict, strife, chaos. We're going to have a lot of opportunity to work. Sextiles. It's good that Venus leads with the sextile to Eris, because Venus makes famously fantastic sextiles. It's like her best aspect, and kind of sets the stage here to work with Eris in an appreciative way, to work with those energies. If you're wondering, what do you do with 3 Eris transits and a 4 or 5 day Eris period? Made a video on Eris that it's a great case study. I hope that it helps you to understand better that archetype, but I don't have the time in this video to get deep into it. This next bit is, you guessed it, kind of, actually we got to include, because it stretches, there's a little gap, and then we'll include Sun square Neptune, Mercury square Neptune, Venus square Neptune, and Venus and Mercury come together in the middle of that. So, Neptune squares can be confusing. Again, great that Venus leads. Venus is a friend and a relative of Neptune. The two of them together are very musical, very artistic, very theatrical, very expressive, very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. And I think that there's a lot of artistry here in this period of time, late June. There may be a lot of artistry in the mid-June too, with these Eris transits, but it could be more expressed in the form of work and grinding it out, where Neptune is a far lazier influence, especially with Venus and Mercury, and tends to just wait until flash of insight. It doesn't like to grind anything out or figure out what's going on. And we finish up with Mercury sextile to Mars, which just before the full moon could empower quicker thinking, especially during those Neptune squares. And especially because the full moon is marked by Neptune T-square Sun Moon. So that's a great segue to the full moon. Let's check it out. All right, just like we mentioned, the new moon being a kind of low point in the cycle, the full moon is definitely the high energy, high dynamic tension point in the cycle, where things are very electric, very charged. Things are really peaking, as the energy waves could be described. And we have a Gemini sun with Venus and Mercury, and the moon that's reflecting that is in constellation Sagittarius, very close to Sagittarius A star, the galactic center, the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. Gemini collects information. Sag discovers the universal laws at play. So Gemini collects data and Sag finds the patterns. Okay, Gemini manages information and Sag discovers truth. So the way they interact is going to color this full moon, because that's how things work. That's why we're here. It gets a little more interesting. The moon is about 3.5 degrees away from the galactic center, aka Sagittarius A star, aka Jabulba, the underworld, the area of the dark rift. That the dark rift is a section of our Milky Way galaxy that appears in the sky. I brought pictures along with me because I knew I'd be talking about this. Got a close up. That's the dark rift. We got the dark rift is when you see the Milky Way, and this area. This is actually this area out near Scorpio. Like Scorpio would be Scorpio. Where would Scorpio be? Scorpio would be here. Fucus would be here. Sagittarius would be here. Capricorn. This area of the Milky Way is where the center, the core of the Milky Way is. So when you think of the spiral galaxy, you think of us looking sort of sideways at it. This is where that massive black hole lives that holds the whole thing together. The dark clouds are like dust clouds. They're like clouds of cosmic dust. And yeah, here's a great picture. Even though we think of Sagittarius as like bright and optimistic, like expansive and hopeful, in the early degrees of it, we're really close to the tail of the scorpion. And you know, the ancient Greeks saw in Sag and Archer, you know, they were very, they saw it as optimistic, just like we do. They saw it as hopeful and expansive, just like we do. And this part, early Sag, is armed, pointing at the scorpion. Traditionally, that's like the very classic understanding. But yeah, we're in an area where the moon is next to the galactic core and in the area of Sagittarius's weaponry. So I want to encourage people in an understanding of this degree of the sky that is more than just the usual Sagittarian. Oh, that's good. You know, Sag is good. Sag is good. But, you know, the moon myths, galactic center, Sagittarius A star, it's just a more serious area of the sky. It's a more gravity. There's more gravity there. There's more seriousness. But the sun is on fortunate Betelgeuse. We mentioned fortunate Betelgeuse, the star of success, because it is correlate to Nataraja, Shiva Nataraja's shoulder on the arm with which he bestows protection. It's a classic positive star. Betelgeuse is just the best star in the sky for success. The sun is also with Venus and Mercury, so they're his best friends. You know, that's who he gets along with best. That's who's close by, attending him all the time, and so I see a lot of positivity in all this. But then, at the same time, right, we have Betelgeuse, we have the sun, on the light, or in the light of the just most auspicious star, and at the same time, you're T-squared from Shiat by Neptune in Pisces. So there's another strong alignment here, as Neptune is on Shiat. It's the closest star alignment. So we got to understand that. Shiat's interesting. Bernadette Brady characterizes it as radiating a very intellectual influence. Now, Neptune is not a very intellectual planet, but we'll see how that breaks down. It's long been associated, Shiat, with sorrow and heartbreak, but also with brilliance and next level insight. So it's both. It's both. It's it's both. And Neptune brings in an element of higher dimensionality, dream time. So I wonder if this month's earthbound drama will play out in a way that reflects this split. Shiat's insight and next level brilliance, it comes with it. It's just it's the kind of insight that's gained through hardship, through surviving experiences of sorrow. That's the really classic understanding of Shiat, and I've seen it play out. So I want to encourage you to just be aware. Neptune is spiritual truth. Neptune is the bigger reality, the big mind, and here we may be challenged by, at the time of the full moon this month, we may be challenged by difficult truths. We may be challenged by difficult truths. That's a Gemini Sag function, and when you bring Shiat, it just accentuates that equation. I'm going to take a quick detour here. Side note, like Saturn's not doing anything except making a sextile to Uranus that in 6 arc minutes won't even be calculated. It's out at the very edges of what we care about when it comes to sextiles. 6 degrees. That's as far as I calculate them, and that's further than most people calculate them. So Saturn's not doing anything, and you may wonder, why is he talking about that? Doesn't seem noteworthy. I'm talking about that because Saturn squared the new moon this month for the first of many Saturn moons, because a square is 90 degrees, and in a month the sun moves 30 degrees, which makes 120 degrees, and you guessed it, 120 degrees. That's a trine, which means next month, for the next new moon, we're going to have another new moon in contact with Saturn, and we're in a Saturn cycle. Now, Saturn has a particular effect and action, and it's slow, steady progress over time. And you have to work with this. You have to build discipline. You have to do things when you don't want to do them. That's the whole Saturn journey in a way. I mean, to oversimplify it. I bring this up because with Saturn square to the sun and moon for that new moon, this full moon may give us a little break. We might not be thinking much about bringing new things in, especially with Sun on Betelgeuse, with Venus. Things could seem nice, moon and Sag. For some of us, this will be accentuated. For others, it won't. For some of us, Shiat will be brutal. For others, it won't. It won't even matter. And what my point is about Saturn. Because we can forget all about the Saturn process when Saturn isn't breathing down our necks. And I encourage you not to. I encourage you to understand that this month, the Saturn square, and next month with the Saturn trine, and the following months until we shake Saturn, are going to be Saturn months. There's going to be a Saturn process here. So that entails work, that entails effort, discipline, diligence, and quiet competence over time. Quiet competence over time. Nothing flashy with Saturn. If I had to put one word to this, one word to just the whole thing, this great Neptune T-square from a notorious star, this moon on the galactic center, sun on Betelgeuse, I'd say depth. Depth. The galactic center is a birth point. There's new birth here. Sag grows things, just as surely as Scorpio Ophiuchus breaks them down. The Neptune connection indicates great depth of process. And as we near the peak of this eclipse season, the peak meaning 3 months ago, we had a total solar eclipse, and we're nearing the kind of peak before we hit eclipse season again. And as we near the peak of this eclipse season, which began in early April with North Node total eclipse backed by constellation Pisces with Mercury, Venus, Chiron, Neptune, and Eris, also in Pisces with the Sun and Moon. And these patterns could be running very deep. We could have new spiritual flows, feeling changes in the undercurrent of our lives. That North Node total eclipse was about catalyzing a next new phase of development. So if anything has shifted in your life recently, reflecting those ideas, those mechanics, and you've been adjusting or building new understandings into your existing models, this lunar cycle starts with the benefics in stable Taurus, Venus protecting the Sun and Moon, and Saturn squaring it closely from late Aquarius. So the major waves of change that are in motion are Saturn in the twilight between Aquarius and Pisces. It's very electric. And we're stabilizing a cycle that started in February 2023. And this big eclipse cycle, which started 2 months ago in early April 2024. So these are the patterns that I would expect to see really taking root, grounding, and stabilizing via Taurus. And the real fruit here is expressed in terms of the Sun, blessed by Betelgeuse and Venus, and a moon intensified by galactic center and protected by Sagittarius, T-squared by Neptune in Pisces on Shyot. And that could signify harsh spiritual realizations. Neptune on Shyot isn't overly love and light. Neptune on Shyot is insight, is understanding, is realistic look at how things work. With genius and clarity, and understanding, usually gained by emotional hardship. And again, here protected on all sides. The Sun by Venus and Betelgeuse, the Moon by Sag. Perhaps powerful steps forward for those on a spiritual path. Perhaps new spiritual birth could be possible. We could deepen our faith. We could deepen our faith this month. Our faith in the unknown and the unknowable. The potential for personal inner progress relative to the big picture life issues here. That's, personal inner progress relative to big picture life issues and that Neptune T-square could have us dealing with themes, bigger themes, weirder themes. Neptune's so weird, friends. Like, why are we here? What does it mean? Is life a dream? A drama? A simulated matrix? Is it are we just biological organisms on a rock in space? Is space itself a hallucination? Is there any there over there? Or is it all within perception? Is there any ancient consciousness beneath or behind what appears as reality? These unanswerable questions are the kind of questions that Neptune will delight a Gemini mind with and satisfy that Sag need for discovery of deep truth. So wherever we seem to be, my friends, wherever this is, whatever this is, it's not going to give up its secrets easily, no. But this is the process that we talked about, right? Discovering truth. That's very Sag, natural law, high truth, how things actually are, out of the ocean of data, of information, of facts. So it's a great cycle to consider things like that, or just remember that we never for 1 second really know what's going on. So as the classic Zen saying goes, only don't know. Only don't know. That's very Neptune T-square Sun and Moon. Because when we only don't know, we're deepening our faith in the unknown. So with stars like this, the object might not be to figure anything out or solve any particular problem. That's a square thing. That's a square thing. But with stars like this, there may be some degree of confusion or cloudiness, haziness. And that's a Neptune square thing. Or just touching the depth of that, it sort of looks like a neat opportunity, right? To realize how deep it all is, how timelessly old, how much we don't know and we can't know now or ever, and what power there is in respecting our own ignorance in its right place. Like the demon dwarf Apasmara, who Shiva dances the Tandava upon, and who signifies spiritual ignorance. Our own journey is built, taken, every step taken on the basis of our ignorance. That's the medium here, ignorance. That's the canvas and the medium. I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean you can't know everything, ignorance, just lack of omniscience. So this month I would expect to see many people confront the mysteries of existence in one form or another, realize the limitations of their knowledge, maybe even their agency, and benefit from that. Grow in understanding from those experiences and ground new ways of doing things in response. All right, fam, that's the full moon. So let's take a look at the transits between full moon and next new moon. Again, you'll see, if you're sharp, the patterns right away of Mercury, Venus, and Sun. Here we have Sun square nodes, Venus square nodes, Mercury square nodes. Yeah, these four. Mercury square the nodes and Venus square the nodes. So just to take this phase, right after the full moon, we have the 21st through about the 26th, 27th. And everything at this time could be distorted thinking, distorted feeling, especially loving or appreciative feelings about ourselves, or our process, our life. I know I said this new moon was going to be a Taurus moon with all the benefics. And I know we all want to have unimpeded progress towards our best and highest selves, but the nodes will always challenge us. The nodes will never let you off easy. They will always make you earn it. So we can expect a little bit of theme of distorted thought and feelings, confusion, challenge, and right after the full moon, with that Neptune T-square to Sun and Moon creating confusion, we can expect more confusion. That's the short of that. Then you have Mercury square to Saturn. Mercury trine to Saturn, excuse me. Let me get my marbles out of my mouth, put them back in my head, and maybe we'll be able to do this thing. So we have Mercury trine Saturn. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's on the 26th of June. So it could be a heavy day at the end of a time when our self-relationship could be kind of distorted and frayed, when our confusion could be high. I want to encourage everyone not to take anything too seriously around the 26th, because that full positive self-image is going to be supported again. Like here it is, right around the corner, with Venus sextile Mars. That's it's a confidence monster. But before we get there, we're on the 28th of June, and that means that we're going to take a look at the waning quarter moon chart for those folks who make a thorough study of lunar cycles. I just want to give you a moment to pause with that up on the board. It looks like the waning moon takes place just near North Node in Pisces. So we have a Pisces-Gemini square. Sun's still well supported. And moon sextile Jupiter. Yeah, sun and moon well supported. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get back and finish up these transits. Yeah, we have some pretty interesting things going on. First of all, Saturn stations retrograde. Saturn stations retrograde the 28th, 29th, and 30th of June. And while Saturn is retrograde, Mercury squares Eris and sextiles Uranus. And if that sounds unpredictable and strange, that's because it is. Uranus and Eris in contact with Mercury are going to bring a lot of unexpected, a lot of explosive, erratic, confused, unanticipated communication. Things will be weird, and a lot of insight should come out of it. Saturn, at its forwardmost point, at its most progressive point, stationed retrograde at the very end of Aquarius. Like if we open the chart for this to see how is Saturn positioned, he is almost in Pisces, and he'll actually go well back into Aquarius, about almost to the middle of it, before he makes his journey into Pisces. So Saturn almost in Pisces to join the malefics. Got a little bit of cold feet and headed back. But the stillness of Saturn emphasizes stability. So while Mercury and Uranus and Eris are going to emphasize instability, chaos, unpredictability, eccentricity, and erratic activity, Saturn stabilized should ground and protect against that. But we're going to have both influences strong, and Saturn is grounded in the very last degree of explosive Aquarius. So I think what I mean by that, just to put a summary in it, put a pin in that, is that the odds favor Aquarian and Iridian things because of the placement of Saturn, not just the activity of Saturn, but we have to consider, where is this guy? Well, he is deep, deep in the stars of the wild rumpus. So, I don't think we can expect the full stodgy old Saturn that we're used to, typically. And then Neptune stations retrograde. So we're going to have a period where some outer planets are stationed and things are going to be just slow and strange, a little weird. And while Neptune is stationed retrograde, the Sun squares the nodes, Mercury trines Neptune, Venus trines Saturn, Mercury opposes Pluto. And all of this takes place within the window of Neptune's stationed period. So Neptune stationing makes things weird. All right, things are going to get weird. We're going to have dreamy, spacey, artistic vibrations, fam. We're going to have a trip to La La Land booked in our name, first class, window seat. So the Sun squares the nodes. This could be a lot of integration issues. This could just be trouble building anything into our life in a meaningful way. This Neptune station retrograde period, with all this stuff going on, right as July hits, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, this is gonna be weird. Yeah, like Venus trine Saturn isn't going to save anyone from the weird, not with Saturn in Aquarius. Mercury is going to trine Neptune as Neptune is stationed. Like, do you see how this all fits together? And that Mercury trying to station, so Neptune station retrograde is like, okay, write it off. Just write it off. You're out to lunch. You want to focus, but no, squirrel. Squirrel. That's Neptune stationed. Or you'll want to focus and you'll want clarification, or you'll want to do some detail work, but things are just so diffuse. All you really want to do is watch the sunset. It's okay, but when Mercury connects to station Neptune, we get very sensitive. So psychic sensitivity and just emotional sensitivity, our thoughts, the sensitivity of our inner worlds is going to be high at that time. Venus trine Saturn can stabilize this, but again, Saturn is still in Aquarius. He's not going anywhere except back into Aquarius. So Venus here trying to Saturn, the best part about that is that Venus is with the Sun. So hopefully some of that will kind of trickle down. Some of that stability will trickle down because Sun is square nodes, and integrating anything cohesively is going to be challenged. And then while Mercury is trying to Neptune stationed retrograde, let's get a visual for people who do better with that, do better with the visual. So Mercury is trine to Neptune, and there's no point doing that. So Mercury is trine to Neptune and opposed to Pluto at the same time. So I don't know what that looks like, but it's going to be weird. Like I said, I think I might just leave it at weird. I don't need to overanalyze. I certainly couldn't predict. I couldn't say anything meaningful for people on an individual level, and for the collective, I can definitely say this is a period of time. You may not have to write it off, but if things get strange, just roll with it. I mean, there's nothing to do. That's just how things are going to be. They're going to be a little strange. And at the very end of the month, Mars will sextile Saturn, just going into that next new moon. And this is great for working. It's great for planning. It's good for accomplishing. Anything from like projects, gardening, anything. Just put the power and determination of Saturn behind the fiery, youthful energy of Mars, and you'll get a lot accomplished. So great for work as we move towards that next new moon. And that is about where I want to leave these transits. That will wrap it up, and we can take a look at this next new moon. Very, very, very exciting. Peak of the eclipse cycle here. Peak of the eclipse cycle between last eclipse and next. The new moon's on Sirius. Oh, the brightest star in the sky. The scorcher, Sirius. What to say about that? It's on Sirius, 0 degrees, 1 arc minute. Yeah, so we're going to turn it up. We're turning it up to 11 next month. That's what Sirius does. It takes everything, turns it up to 11. The scorcher, too hot. Major power, but it's a lot to handle. The new moon is conjunct Venus, and the new moon opposes Ceres. Let's see. Now, I didn't include Ceres in this chart, but the new moon will oppose Ceres. 0 degrees, 0 arc minutes. So just want to put all this in one place. New moon on Sirius in Gemini, opposed to Ceres. The relationship with Sirius is 1 arc minute, and the relationship to Ceres, Demeter, is 0, 0, 0, 0. Jupiter is on Aldebaran, and Venus is on Pollux. So we have a lot of empowered. We have a lot of classically empowered benefics, and we can leave that there. That's all that we really need to say about that next new moon for now. Thank you, friends. Thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting my channel. Like it, subscribe to it, do the YouTube things, and stay in touch. Stay in touch with the sky. I want to shout out Kathleen McLaughlin, who was a guest on my dialogue series. She talked about Time Lord techniques, and it was righteous. She's starting her YouTube channel, Cat's Oracle Shop. That's right. And I just want to promote the conversation we had, this video on Time Lord techniques. That's like annual perfections in general. And just say that if you are interested in topics like that, there's a group on Facebook, the one I'm always popularizing, called Radical Astrology. And it's where sidereal astrologers hang out, sidereal astrologers of all stripes. You're invited. People who are interested in any form of sidereal astrology are invited. People who are curious. If you're a tropicalist and you made it this far into this video, admit it. You're curious. You want to check it out. You should check it out. You should just do it. Don't be ashamed. Radical Astrology on Facebook, friends. It's a great place to engage a community and learn a lot and have a lot of fun. I want to say that my dear sweet Serena, thanks to help from crowdsourcing from you, from the community, we've made it 11 months through her journey to receive disability. Her neuropathies have made it impossible for her to work. And she has a fundraiser that I'd like to share. That's been a constant on my videos, so I'm sure that doesn't surprise anyone. Link in the description below. Thank you so much from her and from me. And I want to promote, that my video is so different now. It's not over here anymore. It's there. I'm like looking the other way. oneskyastrology.com. It's a mess. It's a hot mess right now, but it's under renovation. My site is being reinvented. So if you haven't been there in a while, pop in, check it out. I think that is all, my friends, for this month. I will take the time to say, because my site's a mess, that I focus on evolutionary astrology in a sidereal framework, and I use a constellational zodiac, a kind of variation on the midpoint zodiac Athen Chimenti developed and branded as true sidereal. So I use the evolutionary logic in true sidereal zodiac, and it's a life changer. It's a game changer. It's amazing. I see it, and I still have a hard time believing it, the effectiveness of it and the good that it does. So I encourage you, if you're curious, send me an email. Just reach out. There's no harm. I love you, and I'll see you soon, fam. Soon. Ciao, ciao for now. Peace and blessings.